Hello everyone. So yesterday's session we were discussing about how are we the core concepts of Azure Kubernetes service and how do we go through each of those. And when we are talking about each of the configurations and features which have been provided from the AKS standpoint, we have explored some of the core concepts on storage, on scaling, on the what do you say, the identity point of view. And in network, we have to cover certain points. But what I felt after this session is if I start talking about networking concepts in the second session like that, it is uh, as we didn't get a more hands-on on the AKS cluster point of view, it would be tough to imagine or understand or correlate with the concept which I'm trying to talk. Andukane, what I felt is we can start trying to research, try research those along with while we're doing POC. So previously, నేను ఏం చేశాను అంటే I've tried deploying an application very simply, just creating to show an example of how a Docker container in a Docker and how a Kubernetes in a the container how it runs in a Kubernetes, how it runs in a Docker. But this time, to get a better understanding on the configurations and core concepts more better, I would like to show the reality of how organizations will do the work on Kubernetes. Will not exactly replicate the production or reality of it, most on a developer point of view. We'll try to see, because there will be DevOps engineers who will be setting up the pipelines, all that, to ensure the deployment is happening into a case cluster and all that. We'll get that into slowly. Here we are trying to focus on how we actually work the developers work and how actually Kubernetes is looked at a cluster level. Kubernetes cluster is looked at when we want to run applications in Kubernetes. My self-research point of view, how did I learn and understand? Because if I go with any random scenario, it will be uh, tough to understand. But if you try to uh, look at the tutorial which has been provided here for AKS cluster, it's not the quick starts, but the tutorial. This is actually helping you to understand majority of the configurations which we have tried explaining. So, but to explain you or set up this environment, we have to do certain things. So, so previously, what application we have tried running, we are going to run the same thing. But there is, if you look at it, prepare an application for Azure Kubernetes service. So before Kubernetes, before the plan before the container is being deployed into Kubernetes cluster through the config YAML and all that, we need to first create the image and all that. So then with this image, we will run that as a container in the worker nodes which we have in AKS cluster, right? So what this tutorial is aiming for is trying to say that how do you prepare this application, these images? And if you look at the container, the application, this is divided into the microservices. One is storefront microservice, one is a product service, order service, and order queue. So one is Vue.js, and this is JS, this is Rust, and this is RabbitMQ. Okay. So this is storefront is a web application for customers to view products. Those is acting as a front end to view products and place orders. Product service shows the product information. So this is more around the product information. And place orders. Order service is placing the orders. RabbitMQ message queue for an order queue. So we'll end up creating couple of microservices is what they're trying to say. And we here they tried directly creating all those code, like developers created it and all that code and everything. If you can just clone that kit and you can go inside that, you are seeing a Docker Compose file. What is this Docker Compose file? Docker for compose file is the one which will actually build the images, and that images you will push it to a container registry, Azure container registry, or a Docker registry, whatever it is, Artifactory and all that. And from there you can consume the what do you say, the image to for the Kubernetes cluster to go and create. Now, if you see here, the container, once we have this Docker Compose, it is going ahead and building all the applications, if I'm not wrong. And if you can see here, first, this is the talking about the RabbitMQ, and second, this is talking about order service. And so the order service, product service, storefront, order queue, all these are images. So it's going to build that image. Now, if you look at this one and you read it, it is taken from the code has been taken from this SRC product service, and that will be there inside this uh, folder. How did you get this folder? When you cloned it, you're going to clone you that repository and everything. That repository is where that local repository is where your log checked in, and you will be able to see all these folders. And so even when right now, so this is right now I'm just looking at it after some long time. నేను చాలా రోజుల తర్వాత చూస్తున్నాను, and how am I able to recollect? Because I entirely did all this tutorial for 1-2 times. Initially, while I'm trying to learn Azure and all that, I tried specific tutorials couple of times to remember, habituate, like more than 5, 6, 7 times. Okay, this tutorial specifically and 2 times try as means once you get habituated doing tutorials, I mean scenarios and all that for repeated point of view time, slowly the other scenarios, the complex scenarios, you will start remember. Just you need to revise it. And if you so long back I have seen it, and right now if you see the way I'm trying to recollect, okay, it's taking the code from here, and the name is being mentioned as product service, and here storefront is being taken from here and named as storefront. How it is going to set up that entire thing. And once you really learn Docker Compose, so that's why I say you need to really learn Docker also. The reason here we have to learn Docker is to know how to build images, how to the as a DevOps engineer, you need to be the one who to facilitate it. Probably they're going to give you an understanding. Developers will give you show you how they're building it from their terminal and all that. But these are the commands they're using and all that, and getting that and the storing it. Idanta, you will have to observe, and based on that, you have to use this arguments, where you learn how to use these arguments when you're learning how to use Docker Compose, Docker, and all that. So for that reason, you have to learn. And kind of expect some certain questions on how you can build an image, Docker image. In the interview, you can expect this kind of questions. Not you can expect, you will expect some questions when you say that I've been in an environment where I worked on containers and all that, and where we're running the application in Kubernetes, AKS cluster, Azure hosted container, which is host service, which is hosted in Azure. Uh, then they're going to say how did you build, how your application. So we have more than 5 8 9 images we have for the application, and those are being built using Docker Compose. And the way we have used to set up this Docker Compose YAML file is, we named it, and we say how the image, from what is the base image you have to take it, and what is the container name you have to keep it, and how you can set up the environment, ports, health check, volumes, networks, and all that. We can describe. There are many other arguments which you can see and all that, but this is it. Okay. And what else? Once you create a container, how do you create a container? Sorry, how do you create an image? You're going to do Docker Compose. Okay. So first it's going to run that entire these things. Uh, and you have this will be end up creating all the images, everything. And you can see here, when you clicked on Docker images, it's like a list of images. that command, and it will give you all these images. And if you so this is end of the day creating all the images, and when it is creating it, it is going to run those and all that. So that's why you would be able to, if you do Docker PS, you will be seeing all the current running containers and all that. And if you wanted to test it, you just have to do a local host, or even you can go and what do you say? Uh, Send to a public IP address 8080 port, and you will be able to see this one. And once you do Docker Compose down, everything will be there. So we'll try this one, and immediately after this, I'm explaining in very short. I don't want to take this scenario sessions for 3, 4 sessions and all that. I'll try to speed it up as fast as possible within some 3 sessions and all that. So in this, again, I'll show how are we creating Azure containers. So what is this they're trying to do? Once you have built these images, you wanted to push it to this container registry. As I mentioned, you want to store it somewhere. So I'm going to, they're going to store it in push this images into this container registry. Once that is there, that is complete. This tutorial is complete. Now let's get into the next one. Next one is mm, mm, create a Kubernetes cluster. Generally, the way we have done it. Okay. Once you have done this, you're going to log in inside the cluster. That's it. Okay. Once you logged in inside the cluster, then install Kubernetes extension. Mm, it said a kubectl, get nodes, backing storage. So what they're trying to show here. Okay. Enable container storage, create a storage pool, ephemeral disk, and then create a storage pool status. Okay. So entire things are there in the this repository itself. You no need to write anything. You just need to enter commands, but you need each of these things you have to really learn. So where it is within this repository, you have this. Okay, and they're deploying this YAML config YAML, which is going with okay, the kind is pod and name. Okay, in this the images should be. And once you have done, you have created the storage, container storage, and then deploy the containerized application. We'll see if we can go till here. Okay. Uh, but maximum we may end up only covering till here, because in this session we'll be focusing on how you can create images, and from there once you set up the container storage, which once I run the container, then we're going to link the other pass offering. So here we linked service bus. Why? Because we wanted queue to be there. How this is going to work, the order queue. So they created a service bus and all that to take in the requests. And once that is done, they created a credential okay, for managing Kubernetes manifest files, all this. Okay, deployment, order service. So this is the application behind the scenes, which is taking the orders and everything. Deploy updated, which is going to, mm, mm, mm. And once that one, okay, scale application. we can increase the scale of application by creating more number of how. So yesterday we have tried talking about how do you scale, right? If you remember. So this we are talking about creating more number of pods. If you want to create more number of nodes and all that, that will also get created based on the VM's SS rule set which you have configured. If you wanted more number of what do you say, your CPU utilization then is increased, then automatically they'll increase the number of nodes which have to be running in that VMSS. You can even do that. So here they're trying to even talk about it. How do you scale in terms of node? How do you scale in terms of pod? So they tried explaining that one. Then here we also spoke about uh, how do we upgrade the AKS cluster. So if you remember, we were talking about Kubernetes patching while we are trying to create it. There's a Kubernetes version. So even you can talk about you have done patching of your clusters and all that. So to understand more on that front, they were trying to show you all these things, upgrade your uh, Kubernetes version and all that, and that's it. Delete the cluster. So that's the reason why, I'm trying to say that if you are trying to complete this tutorial, you will be able to at least understand maximum core number of core of concepts. And then I wanted to talk about more on the AKS networking point of view, which will help you to at least understand some differences and all that. And within that, we will try to, with that scenario of once we establish it, we will try to talk more on this, trying to show certain key points whichever we are utilizing. We will not be utilizing all the services in this tutorial to a highest level. The reason is because, uh, but majority, I would say at least 70% we will be utilizing. This will not give you or uh, help me uh, understand. You have to understand this that this will not make you a Kubernetes administrator. This will not make you a CKS. It is going to only help you while you're trying to remember your core concepts and all that. It is going to only facilitate the understanding and may help you remember those faster and recollect. That's it. Okay, I may sound like a broken recorder, but this is it. So let us go and try creating this one. Let's see how much ever we can complete. I opened the portal. First things which I'll do is setting up this environment. I don't really like to play within my laptop machine, so I will create a machine here. I like to play with uh, container demo, image, Docker demo, Docker image. VMs, I'll create this in HUS. I leave this as no zone. I leave the standard. I leave it 24.4 spot instance. I'll take a spot instance. I'll create a password in DN @ 1 2 3 4 5 6 7, and I'll allow some more ports. How will I manage that? Advanced. When I'm creating new, I can create an outbound rule for 8080. I clicked on create. Meanwhile, I'll also try to set up so that I can save time. This is demo is for this one, and I'll create container and all that also side by side to save some time. So I'm running the CLI also from this itself. And if you look at it, mm, so I'm creating my cluster in this one. So I'll copy here. I'll try to case RG Central India. I'm going to create this. So machine would have got created. Let me log in into this machine. I have to open my terminal. And I'll log in into this SS trainer. Yes. Indian at the rate 1234567. And there you go. I'm logged in. Now, what am I trying to do here? I'm going to run this, preparing this application, everything. For this, the first thing which I have to do is, so that is created. Let's first clone the repository. Let's see, I'm going cloning the repository and CD, sorry, ls, list of files which are there and folders. And you can see this one, and that's where AKS store demo. And then you again ask for list of files and folders. You could see the all this YAML files in terms of deployment, and you would also see here Docker Compose to build the images and all that. We have seen all this, so let's try to run that. So this is Docker Compose YAML file, and if I go inside this, you will be able to see the same thing. So just run cat and see it. Whatever you're seeing is the same thing they have mentioned here. They have given all these image names, and it was clear, so I'll just clear it. And I wanted to run a Docker image to see. So this is how you will be creating images and prepare these images and then push it into container registry, and then you will use that AKS clusters to and all that. So that's why it's kind of you need to also understand Docker is what I'm trying to say. So install, go to Google, install Docker Compose. So if I go to Docker docs, uh, Docker engine, this makes my job easier. First I'll do is sudo apt update. So they're trying to say that do all these things. Let's see if I can. Sorry, I'm running it in the wrong one. So once you run this, Okay. Now try to run this. Okay. Nothing is there. Now I'll try to install this. Docker C, no CLI, no installation. Couldn't find container IO. So it and properly we updated all the packages then by okay. I didn't run this command. That's where the problem came in. I didn't add the repository. Now if I do this one, that is when the actual installation moves. Okay, this is done. So what did I just do? I just missed previously to not run this one. This is actually adding the repositories into that. What do you say to for the installing in the Ubuntu machine and all that. Once you update this repository and then you go and run this, they are all in this repository, so they'll be installed. And that's where you're seeing it. Now let me run this command to see whether Docker is running or not. So there, this message came that proves that the Docker is running. Now what I wanted to do, I'll close this. I'll go here and let me see whether I have Docker Compose. How will I see whether I have Docker Compose or not? So doing Docker Compose version. And there you go, I have version. So then I'll just, so if you remember, I am inside this folder and there you have Docker Compose.quick start. If you're not inside that folder, you would not be able to run this command properly because there you have to again remember this. Permission denied. That's because I have to do sudo docker compose. Now, if you see, it is trying to build all that applications, and while building that images and all that, Docker Compose does it in a smarter way. And when it is building it, so it will create first all the necessary everything that is defined in this YAML file. Where do you to have to pull that images and all that? How do you run it as containers? Once they're running it and all that, then as containers, it's building an image also for that as an image. So that image is what we wanted, and we wanted to test whether that is running properly or not. Now, if you see, it is building that one. It will may take some couple of minutes. That's why I'm a bit concerned that I may not be able to reach it to till to the container storage. I'll see if I can run to the container storage and all that. Otherwise, this will be sessions will be postponed till to setting up this all this tomorrow. And from there, I'll try to talk about important concepts. If you would have seen when this one, the folder inside of it, you will be seeing certain more configurations than what we are trying to talk or in this tutorial. We are talking about AI service, means how we are utilizing AI in Kubernetes. We will also talk about ingress. See, if you see, store AKA store ingress. We also have more about how you can use more extensions, and this will be anyways utilized in this scenario itself. While we are trying to talk about use pass services and all that, but like this, there are many things which are there which will help you understand configuration. That's where I wanted to just directly dump into the demo. It's still taking certain time. We'll wait for that 1 minute more. It's right now it's going as product service builder. Order service is complete. Yeah, it seems like it's taking more time. So it's taking closely. It's already crossed some 3 minutes. So what is this trying Docker Compose is trying to do? It's running this application, setting this entire application to be running in a container. And when it is running into a container, setting into a container, before that it is going to make it as an image, and from that image it's going to create a container. Now, if the container is running properly, this certifies that our image is good. If our image is not working properly, we haven't set up, either it is an issue in the application or it is an issue in the way you have written the Docker Compose YAML. So this is how you will end up debugging whether it is in the issue in the Docker Compose YAML or in the application. And you are being a DevOps engineer and you're trying to build images, developers will going to blame you that you are the one who it's nothing. The application is running very smoothly in mine. I'm not sure what is the reason why it is not running properly in for the image point of view. And it's not like blaming there. It's more about you have to be the person who can assist and facilitate syncing up with the dev and understanding how they're trying to do it manually, everything, and see that the steps are being replicated. So properly. So you have to replicate the steps properly through the commands in Docker Compose everything. And if something that is missing, that will end up container not to build, and that container is not building, then the image is not useful. And if that image is not useful, you can't deploy that in Kubernetes. So see the correlation. We are trying to build image which is with smaller here in your organization. To build Docker images, sometimes they take 10-20 minutes. Please remember that. But we said containers lightweight and all. That's the reason why they will some enterprise applications will end up having some 20 microservices, 40 microservices, and all that. So if you're working in that kind of environment, they definitely expect you to be a CKA certified, CKA certified, CKD certified, and all that. Because any issue with the container, it's very tough to entirely configure or change it, because the way the config YAMLs for Kubernetes manifest files, we call it them as manifest files. The way to manage those and see where the issue is, if someone had made some mistake, it's going to get complicated. So keeping all these things, it's a skill set level and all that. Debugging will definitely take certain time, the more the complex the application is. That's why some microservices are applications are way tougher to manage them in container environments. The more microservices you make, you'll end up having a lot of manifest files, and you exactly need to know how to manage those manifest files in Kubernetes, because that is defines the state of the cluster and that defines the configuration of the cluster. Let me pause the video till once the deployment gets completed. Now, if you look at it, the images were being built, and after that, they were being tried to create it as a container. Now, if you look at the containers, okay, what do we try to tell is we will have to check as a developer. We will be checking whether these containers are running properly and all that. And once we have given that go ahead that everything is working properly, that is when we can go and take these images. Now, before we take images also, uh, classic example of why a Docker was Kubernetes, if you would have seen. Now I was trying to see if we type Docker PS uh, or sudo Docker PS, all the containers which are running. So couple of microservices, we are trying to run them as containers. If we would have choose just Docker and not Kubernetes container runtime instance or a container orchestrator, it would be very tough for us to manage all these containers. The question is not just about these containers; it is about containers running in different machines, uh, and each one have to sometimes this service there will be lot of orders coming in, but the product service may be taking it. So that point of time, so the more amount of services that has to run is this one. Or lot of requests is coming in and just research, no, not products are not yet purchased. So auto service is not more, but storefront and product service is more. Uh, then RabbitMQ is also not so much heavily utilized. It's just on the product service and storefront. So so the number of services, microservices, in terms of number of things that have to be scaled up and all that, that is very easy to manage in Kubernetes. Through manifest files, we're going to write that and all that. That's where Kubernetes orchestrated container orchestrated tool Kubernetes is a huge hit. Now let's go to the tutorial. There is this. We created these images, all this, and these images are there. If you wanted to check whether these machines are running properly and all that, how do we go? We go inside this machine and you mention 8080. I didn't allow 80. Okay, let me allow it. There you go. That machine is, this is running in this machine because of Docker Compose. Okay, now we have those images. We'll have to push it into the container registry. For that, I created a container, right? I created this container, but I have to take this uh, and push it there. So this machine should have CLI also, AZCLI. How will I do that? Install. So do I just have to check whether AZ version is there or not? No, AZ version is not there. AZCLI install Ubuntu. Maybe you have tried doing this, right? Am I right? Yeah. So one, there is nothing, no. So I can, yeah, there we go. We have it. Is it login? I'll take this. There you go. I have it. So this is the one where I created my subscription ID where I've created it. So where is the container registry? Container registry. Oh, I only created a resource group. Fine, fine. Mm, then I didn't create ACR yet. I'll do that here itself. Where is this? This one. Selection of one V97. Okay, I'll clear this. I will create the and ACR name. I'll try to keep something ACR dem ACR. So it's basic. India is located. There we go. It got created. I'll just have to refresh it, and we have the ACR. Now what should I do once I create this ACR? I'm going to push that images which I have in this machine. If you remember, Docker images, sudo Docker images, and we have all this. So I will just have to copy this and the name is this one, right? This mention name and image AKS store demo product service latest and build ACR. So build and push the containers. Okay, so you're building the images and pushing it. So this entire whatever the source code is there, so they're trying to just build it. Okay, so they're we instead of they're trying to utilize our images, They are trying to build it and just doing using the Docker Compose. How did we do it? They're trying to push it directly. Means build it and push it. We can also directly you can use AZCR push also. But anyways, let's follow this one because how they are not trying to take our images which we have built in Docker images. They are creating uh, the images again from the same source. So if you remember, if I do this ls and if I go to src ls src, there we have all this. So applications. So first I'm going to run this. This will take certain time. So I'll pause the recordings till we have been able to push the entire images running those three commands one by one in the interest of time. I'm talking on mute. So we have created the images and then we went inside the repository and we could see that the images have been created in the ACR, and we could also check the version. If you go inside the portal and check there from repositories, we would be able to see that. This is to a level sufficient. So what we'll do tomorrow is create the AKS cluster and we will run this and create a container storage. I doubt we because we need to talk about container storage and to understand more about it. Then I'll see if I can have a time to talk about running the containerization application. But this will be much more simpler just because it's running just a command and seeing everything is running or not. Okay, so I'll end my session today.